Israel's war on Hamas terror continues. There's relentless pounding of Hamas bases, and yet Hamas retains the capability to strike even Tel Aviv, or at least attempt to strike Tel Aviv. What's the latest on ground? With me is Colonel Richard Hecht. Colonel, you're the spokesperson for the Israeli army on ground in southern Israel. So what can you tell me about your operations against Hamas terrorists today?
So right now we're still striking Hamas infrastructure and senior leadership in Gaza. We are very, very determined. We're acting based on intelligence and slowly going after Hamas targets. And we're going to get to each and every one of them. We've asked civilians to move south from Gaza City, south of Wadi Gaza. We've declared a safe zone in the Muassi on the beach. And we are moving on our operational planning.
Now, your operations plan, some argue, has been delayed. Have your operations or your ground operations into the Gaza Strip been delayed, either by not being able to take out all the Hamas strongholds, their tunnels still existing, their capability to launch rockets into Israel still existing?
We are going to act in due course in a very disruptive way. We're not delayed in anything. The IDF will go in composed and ready to beat Hamas. When this happens, and it could be in all sorts of ways. There's not a decision yet, but we will act very, very determined matter to destroy Hamas.
You're facing a threat on multiple fronts. You have the Hamas in the south, you have the Hezbollah in the north, with that hospital being targeted. The wider Arab world is also, there are protests happening all over. Is that a major concern for the Israeli forces?
So we first of all proved that the hospital was Islamic Jihad, and that wasn't the IDF. We don't attack hospitals. The north, we have ramped up our defenses. It would be it wouldn't be smart for Lebanon to risk their future for Hamas.
But can you take on an adversary on two fronts, or maybe three fronts: Syria, Lebanon, and Hamas here at the Gaza Strip?
Of course we can, and I think it's important to mention also the fact that there's two American battle groups in the Med, amplifying the General Karilla, who's the central commander, saying we are sending these American forces to make sure no one from far intervenes in the fight. Our focus right now is in Gaza, and Lebanon and Hezbollah should not make a mistake. We are ready though, but they shouldn't come into this.
Is there a threat of Hamas terrorists still being in Israel and targeting your supply chain, your soldiers who are now virtually deployed in the open in several locations?
We believe that we've more or less cleaned out the area from the Hamas. There were a lot of people inside Israel. There could be still pockets. We're still in a war zone, but that's our jobs.
What about your hostages, sir? What is being done to bring them back?
So that's being handled in other channels, in very sensitive channels. It's a very painful issue for the Israeli public. You're seeing the visuals. Hamas uses psychological warfare and is showing us pictures of young girls. It's very, very hard. And we're thinking about rape. We're thinking about terrible things. We saw their manual of the Nukba commando Hamas forces that came in here. And we saw rape, kill, savage. Very, very bad.
Is there a time frame for your operations?
As long as it takes.
Colonel Richard, for joining me here on India Today. Many thanks.
Thank you for having us. Thank you, India.